Buffalo, we need to talk because there is a monster living on the Bills' defensive line, and his name is Dion Walker. If you've seen the photo going around from Bills training camp, the one where Walker is mid-snarl, lips curled back, eyes locked on a quarterback like he hasn't eaten in a week, you already know what we're talking about. It looks less like a football photo and more like the poster for a horror movie. And here's the terrifying part for opposing offenses. The photo isn't even the scary part. What he's doing on the field is. Let's rewind. Back in preseason week 1, Walker made his presence felt immediately, getting after Carolina Panthers quarterback Bryce Young like he had a personal vendetta. That was supposed to be a random flash, a preseason spark that fades once the pads come off and everyone moves on to whoever the story of the week is, except it didn't fade. It kept building. Through every training camp practice since, through every rep against Buffalo's own offensive line, Walker has looked like a completely different player than the one Bills fans watched as a rookie. And then came the Carolina game, the real one, the one that made insiders sit up and take notice. According to a detailed breakdown from The Athletic's Joe Buscaglia, even though Buffalo's first-team defense played only 9 snaps against the Panthers, the impact of the second-year defensive tackle was immediately noticeable, and it wasn't just the live look. When Buscaglia went back and rewatched the coach's film, Walker's performance looked even more impressive on the second viewing. That's the detail that should make Bills fans sit up straight in their seats. Anyone can look good in real time with the crowd noise and the highlight reel angle, looking better on the all-22 coaches film, the version that shows every gap, every angle, every missed assignment with nowhere to hide. That's a different level of validation entirely. The numbers back it up in a big way. In just 9 snaps, Walker racked up 2 tackles for loss, 3 run stops, 2 quarterback pressures, and a full sack. Let that sink in for a second. 9 snaps. That's not a full quarter of football. That's barely a series and a half, and in that tiny sample size, he was disruptive enough to look like the best player on the field in either uniform, and this isn't some out-of-nowhere surprise either. Bills fans who were paying close attention last season already saw the flashes. As a rookie, Walker put together 39 tackles, including 8 tackles for loss, a number that jumps off the page for any interior defensive lineman, let alone a rookie learning the speed of the NFL for the first time. He also picked up 4 pass breakups, showing off a genuine knack for using his massive frame to get his hands up at the line of scrimmage and knock passes out of the air before they even have a chance to develop. The one number that didn't quite match the rest of his profile was his sack total, just 1 all season. But if his early camp and preseason performance is any indication, that number is about to look very, very outdated very soon. Now, here's the part that should really get Bills fans fired up. Some of the analytics community, PFF specifically, wasn't exactly glowing on Walker's rookie tape. And look, that's fine. Advanced metrics have their place, but they don't always capture what a player is building toward. Walker himself doesn't seem interested in relying on anyone else's grade of him anyway. When reporters have asked him about his game, his answer has been consistent and refreshingly simple. He just wants to get better. He wants to eliminate the bad plays. That's it. No excuses, no ego, just a young player who's clearly hungry to close the gap between promising rookie and cornerstone piece of the defense. And it's not hard to see why he's playing with this kind of freedom and aggression right now. Buffalo is undergoing a philosophical shift on defense under new play caller Jim Leonard, transitioning from the old 4-down lineman look under Sean McDermott's system to a new 3-4 scheme. That change matters more than it might sound on paper. In the old scheme, defensive linemen were often locked into disciplined, gap control responsibilities designed to keep everything in front of them. In the new scheme, there's more freedom to attack, more freedom to get vertical, more freedom to just go make a play instead of playing it safe. For a player with Walker's combination of size and aggression, That's like taking the leash off a dog that's been dying to run. Walker himself explained exactly what that freedom means to him, crediting his teammates for allowing him to play looser and more instinctively because he trusts the guys around him to have his back if he takes a chance. He specifically pointed to the deep room he's playing alongside names like T.Y. McGill, Christian Benford, star defensive tackle Ed Oliver, and rookie TJ Parker, saying he knows they've got him covered. And what's most encouraging isn't just that he's playing free, it's that in the same breath he talked about wanting to make his teammates better, too. That's not just talent talking. That's leadership talking from a 22-year-old who is barely one full season into his NFL career. Think about the company Walker is starting to keep in conversations. This is a Bills defensive front that already includes Ed Oliver, one of the most disruptive interior players in the entire league when healthy. It includes Christian Benford, a legitimate top-tier cornerback, and now there's a very real chance that when the dust settles this season, Dion Walker isn't just a name mentioned alongside those guys. He's the one leading the conversation. A fourth-round pick, by the way, one of, if not the best value picks general manager Brandon Beane has made in years. If Walker keeps trending the way he's trending, steal of the draft might end up being an understatement. But Walker isn't the only story bubbling up out of one Bills drive right now, because Buffalo also has a legitimate camp battle brewing at linebacker, and it's one that could shape the entire identity of this defense heading into the regular season. Jim Leonard confirmed it publicly. It's an open competition between veteran Dorian Williams and rookie linebacker Caleb Landry for the starting job next to Terrell Bernard. And here's the thing about open competitions. In the NFL, they rarely stay truly open for long. When a coaching staff is willing to throw a rookie fourth-round pick into a genuine head-to-head battle for a Week 1 starting job, that usually tells you the rookie has already earned some serious trust behind the scenes. It doesn't mean Dorian Williams is being pushed out the door. Williams actually played solid professional football in this camp cycle overall, but when your coaching staff is willing to bet on unproven rookie upside over established experience, the scale usually tips toward the guy with the higher ceiling. That's not to say the rookie's tape has been perfect. Against Carolina, Landry had a moment every young defensive back or linebacker in coverage dreads, a pass interference call where he simply didn't get his head turned around in time to play the ball. Looking at the replay, it might not have even been a catchable pass if he just located it. Jim Leonard actually broke down exactly what happened on that play. Explaining that it started before the snap even happened, Landry tried to disguise his coverage a little too aggressively pre-snap, which put him in a difficult spot once the ball was in the air, and he ended up panicking a bit as the receiver ran downfield. Look, that's about as textbook a rookie mistake as you'll find, and frankly, it's an understandable one. This is a young player who just months ago wasn't lining up against legitimate NFL competition on a weekly basis. Now he's being asked to disguise coverages against professional route runners in real time. Growing pains like that are almost inevitable. And here's why Bills fans shouldn't panic about that one play, because the flashes surrounding it have been legitimately special. During camp reps, Landry was matched up on a wheel route against running back James Cook, arguably one of the toughest cover assignments a linebacker can be handed in this league. Cook got a step on him initially, and instead of losing the rep entirely, Landry recovered, closed the gap, and broke up the pass with textbook timing. That's not just athletic recovery speed, that's football instinct, the kind you can't fully coach into a player. He either has it or he doesn't, and it's becoming clear that he has it. There's also no question about his fit in the run game. He plays downhill, physical, and with real speed to close gaps before they widen. The traits are all there. What's left is polish, learning to read disguises, learning when to sell a blitz versus bailing into coverage, learning the small details that separate a good rookie season from a truly dominant one, and by every indication, that's exactly the mentality Landry is bringing to the building every single day. There's already buzz internally that this is a young player who wants to be the eventual leader of this defense, the guy wearing the green dot, making the calls, setting the tone. The coaching staff has clearly taken notice of that mentality, and it's part of why this competition with Williams is being treated as a real one instead of a formality. Now let's shift over to the trenches, because the Buffalo offensive line picture is just as fascinating right now, even if it's a little less flashy than a rookie linebacker highlight reel. At this point in camp, roughly 8 roster spots along the offensive line look effectively locked in. The starting 5 are about as safe as it gets. Dion Dawkins anchoring the left side, Spencer Brown holding down right tackle, Connor McGovern at center, and Osiris Torrance rounding out one of the interior spots. All established, all proven, all guys general manager Brandon Beane and this coaching staff trust heavily. Then there's a 6th near lock in Austin Corbett, who's currently in a legitimate battle with Alec Anderson for the starting left guard job. And rounding out the group of likely locks is free agent addition Lloyd Cushenberry, who has been taking a healthy share of first-team reps this camp cycle. Reps he's earning over veteran depth piece Cedric Van Pran Ranger and 4th-round rookie Jude Bowery, a player many expected to push harder for a roster spot given the draft capital Buffalo invested in him. But the most compelling storyline up front right now isn't even about the presumed starters. It's about the battle happening for the depth spots, specifically a genuinely surprising camp riser in 7th-round rookie Armaj Reed Adams out of Texas A&M. According to Joe Buscaglia's on-the-ground camp reporting, starting center Connor McGovern himself said this has been the best training camp he's seen from Van Pran Ranger, crediting him with learning to better use his positioning against defenders. But in that same breath, Buscaglia flagged Reed Adams as the real camp surprise, pointing to an excellent showing in the Carolina preseason game that has his stock rising fast. There is a real limitation working against him. Reed Adams only plays guard, which naturally hurts his versatility and by extension his chances of sticking on a 53-man roster that typically rewards linemen who can play multiple spots. But McGovern himself put it about as bluntly as you can put it. When Reed Adams gets his big, strong hands onto a defender during a rep, it's over. Total domination. That's not the kind of quote a veteran center throws around loosely about a 7th-round rookie. So now Buffalo has an interesting, honestly enviable problem on its hands. One veteran depth piece is quietly having the best camp of his career after not getting many opportunities up to this point. And right alongside him, a virtually unknown 7th-round rookie is turning heads and forcing the coaching staff to have real conversations about final roster spots. There are worse problems to have heading into cutdown day than 2 hungry linemen forcing your hand. And finally, the storyline that could shake up the entire quarterback room before the season even kicks off. Could the Bills actually go out and trade for a backup quarterback before final roster cuts? This buzz picked up serious steam after respected Bills analysts floated a specific, believable trade idea in a 53-man roster projection, bringing in veteran quarterback Gardner Minshew via trade. And when you actually stop and think about Buffalo's quarterback depth chart beyond Josh Allen, the idea starts to make a lot of sense. Right now, the presumed backups sitting behind Allen are Kyle Allen and Shane Buechele, 2 players who, if we're being completely honest, don't project as guys who could walk into meaningful regular season football and keep Buffalo's playoff hopes intact if disaster struck. And to be clear, Josh Allen has never missed a game in his NFL career. This isn't some doom and gloom scenario anyone actually expects to play out. But championship contending teams don't build their roster hoping nothing bad happens. They build it prepared for when something does. That's exactly where the appeal of a player like Gardner Minshew comes in. In the analysis making the rounds, 2 realistic trade names stood out: Sam Howell and Gardner Minshew. Howell is younger, somehow still only 25 years old, despite feeling like he's been in the league forever, and he comes with real starting experience along with a friendlier contract situation there's a legitimate argument that his long-term developmental upside is higher. But for a team like Buffalo, a team that isn't rebuilding, isn't looking for a developmental project, and is very much in championship or bust mode right now, reliability trumps upside, and that's exactly the case being made for Minshew. He's older, he carries a bigger contract number, but it's an expiring one, meaning it wouldn't tie up long-term financial flexibility. Most importantly, he's already proven at the NFL level that he can step into a starting lineup and keep an offense functional without completely derailing a season. And it's worth remembering Minshew isn't some washed-up journeyman being talked about out of desperation. Back in 2023, he threw for over 3,300 yards, 15 touchdowns against just 9 interceptions, and completed just over 62% of his passes. That's not a superstar season by any means, but it's a perfectly respectable, functional starting quarterback season, and frankly, that profile has looked better than several other AFC East and AFC-wide backup options in recent memory. As for the realistic trade cost, most projections are pointing towards something minor, a late-round pick swap, maybe a 6th or 7th rounder heading back the other way. That's an incredibly low price to pay for legitimate insurance behind the reigning face of your franchise. If Buffalo's front office values stability over betting on unproven upside, don't be shocked if a Gardner Minshew trade or something very close to it actually becomes reality before final roster cuts. So here's where Buffalo stands as training camp rolls toward its final stretch. A former 4th-round steal in Dion Walker is starting to look like a legitimate defensive centerpiece in the making. A rookie linebacker is forcing a genuine, real competition for a starting job on pure talent and instinct. A 7th-round offensive lineman nobody outside Buffalo was talking about a month ago is suddenly impossible to ignore. And the front office may be one phone call away from adding real insurance behind the most important player on the roster. This is the kind of camp that championship rosters are quietly built on, not just through the big-name splashy moves, but through young players stepping up, sleepers turning into starters, and smart front office decisions happening in the background while everyone else is watching the marquee names. So, Bills Mafia, I want to hear from you. Is Deone Walker about to become a household name by the end of this season? Should Buffalo pull the trigger on a trade for Gardner Minshew? And who do you want starting at that linebacker spot, the steady veteran or the electric rookie? Drop your thoughts down in the comments because this roster is about to get a whole lot more interesting before cutdown day arrives. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you smash that like button, drop a comment letting us know what storyline you're most excited about, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a beat of Buffalo Bills coverage all the way through the preseason and into the regular season. As always, let's go Buffalo.